So clearly these are all animals. They're animals in that they share similar traits that are vital to life. But when you look at them, it's obvious to see their differences, but there are a lot of differences that you can't readily see. Some of these animals have specific abilities that can really help them out in times of trouble. Ah! Just kidding.
We're here in the woods looking for a really amazing animal, one that has a special adaptation for escaping predators.
Okay, what we're looking for here is a salamander. Bob, I found one over here! Oh! Oh man, it lost its tail.
And through our collection attempts, we observed an interesting adaptation, a tail that easily separates from the body. Animals that have this adaptation also have the ability to grow a new tail to replace the one that was lost. But we had to ask ourselves, is this unique in the animal kingdom?
To answer this, we had to do a bit of research. We found that the phenomenon isn't rare in the animal kingdom. Lots of species regenerate to some degree.
Geckos, skinks, and salamanders will regrow their tails.
And amphibians, like the axolotl and mud puppy here, will even regrow entire arms and legs.
But other organisms like sea stars, brittle stars, and sea squirts do the same thing.
Ow!
What'd you do?
I got a paper cut.
Look, her paper cut's gonna heal, but how is healing different than regeneration?
As it turns out, my cut heals as the skin cells on either side of the wound multiply. The skin cells of the wound are triggered to divide, starting with mitosis and ending with cytokinesis. My skin cells can only heal, which is different than a salamander, which can regenerate or grow new tissue. They can regenerate skin, muscle, and even nerves.
Hey, here's a good article. This guy's working in Sweden. Isn't Jonas in Sweden?
So we're on our way to Kristineberg Marine Research Station in Sweden. Here we have scientists from all over the world doing research on regeneration of marine organisms. Let's see if we can find some answers to our questions. And so I decided to visit the head of research, Professor Mike Thorndike. And here they specialize in many types of marine organisms, like ascidians and echinoderms, like the brittle stars here. So unlike our healing abilities, these little brittle stars can regrow entire appendages. It's really quite amazing. Imagine being able to regrow your entire arm.
The reason brittle stars are interesting is because they live in the mud and they burrow down in the mud and put up their arms out of the mud like this, and they're feeding on dissolved particles in the sea. And fish come along and bite their arms off, and they have remarkable powers of regeneration. It's part of their natural lifestyle to lose bits of their bodies and grow them again. So what we're hoping to be able to do is get to the bottom of the genetic mechanisms that allow cells that on the face of it in the adult are already committed to go back and become any other sorts of cell.
That means they convert normal cells into stem cells.
In principle, humans have got that because even in our specialised nerve cells, the DNA in a nerve cell is the whole of the DNA.
Because each of our cells holds all of the genetic information, the key is figuring out which genes to trigger. And because it's hard to study stem cells in humans, they're using echinoderms.
All of the genes that are present in humans are also present in echinoderms. So we've got the same genes, the same genetics.
So that means we can study echinoderm genetics to help us understand which genes are involved in triggering human stem cells. So here's the process. Scientists touch the end of a brittle star arm with forceps, which causes the arm to drop off. After a few days, the echinoderms start to regenerate. They seal the regenerating arm in wax and then cut the arm into thin slices. Scientists look at the slices under a microscope to determine which cells in the arm are dividing. What scientists have found is that there are several stages to regeneration.
The first stage is a scar forming, and then the next step is you get a little blob on the end of where that scar is, and that's a structure called a blastema. So it's a little group of what's called stem cells, and gradually they'll become specialised to become a nerve cell, or cells for the muscles, or cells for the blood system.
Someday, this research could hopefully be used to help us. We may not be looking at regrowing a whole appendage, but medical researchers are hoping to use this knowledge to treat diseases like cancer, spinal cord injury, or Parkinson's disease. And hopefully someday, maybe that breakthrough could be done by you.
So this salamander will regenerate its tail, not only using mitosis, but with a bit of help from stem cells too. And we found out that lots of animals, invertebrates, and even some vertebrates have this regenerative ability. But how do we turn on human stem cells to help us?
That's what scientists are trying to figure out. Well, like the researchers at Kristineberg's marine lab in Sweden. But there's still a lot of work to be done.
And remember, we encourage you to never stop exploring your world.
Wow.
That was wicked!